Even, change the slide. Even environmental changes also impact mental health of people. Environmental disasters like floods and landslides left people jobless, unemployed, displacement, even caused trauma. Rat hole mining, especially in Meghalaya, creates hazardous working conditions leading to severe mental distress and anxieties, especially among children and women. The destruction of land also worsened the situations. Now, regarding what steps has been taken from the government and what were the solutions. So, to tackle these challenges, Meghalaya being the first state who take steps in introducing a policy that integrate mental health care services in the primary health centers, giving the patient with a basic mental health care. This focuses on community supports, reducing stigma and helping the vulnerable groups. We have another initiatives started by Northeast India Network that in Assam, that is Grameen Mahila Kendra. It provides counseling, legal aids, and mental awareness about women facing domestic violence and other struggles. By combining medical health with community service, MGK sets an example for others and across the... Okay, I would like to conclude it that mental health is our human right, not a privileges. We can overcome the situations by learning from the successful worldwide models, that is Bhutan's approaches and policies towards its mental health policies, where it includes 4-tiered caregiving system, including primary health care in the village level, then district hospital at the secondary level, and regional referral hospital in the national referral hospital for the advanced care. Also, there is community-based mental health by WHO, where sharing strategies where there it can instead of relying on only a specialization, we can train village doctors to give certain basics mental health services to the patients and also release the burden from the hospitals. And lastly, the Kenya-North Carolina partnership, where like Kenya is much like Northeast India, faces a shortage of medical infrastructure and also mental health care services and medical professionals. So by partnering with global experts, they can train local healthcare workers like Anganwadi workers to and also combine modern treatment with traditional healing. It can be a good example for Northeast to take this initiative. Thank you, sir.
Next speaker will be Dr. Oyon Kanti Chakraborty. He will be speaking on a legal study on mental health at the global level with special reference to Northeast India.
No. You can keep on sliding my slides. Good afternoon, Chairperson, sir. Good afternoon, Moderator, Madam. Good afternoon to dignitaries of the dais and dear students. Now, the research question of my paper is how to address the mental issues of Northeast India in complying the national standards and the global standard? This is the research question. My research is doctrinal, and the collection of data has been of secondary mode. Now, to introduce, historically, the word health appeared approximately in the year 1000 AD. The word originally came from Old English, and it meant the state and condition of being sound or whole. More precisely, health was associated not only with the physiological functioning, but with mental and moral soundness and spiritual salvation as well. Ayurvedic philosophy of health is based on the Vedas, which are the Rig Veda, Yajur Veda, Samar Veda, and Atharva Veda. These old writings describe a complex view of health that takes into account not only the physical body, but also the mind and spirit. They define health as a condition of whole physical, mental, and spiritual well-being, and stress the significance of preserving harmony and balance among these interrelated components. Now, there are three major views in context to health. One is traditional medical concept that says that if you do not have any diseases or any symptoms, you have a good health. The World Health Organization concept in the late 1940s, the WHO developed a more holistic concept of health as a state of complete physical, mental, and social well-being, and not merely as absence of disease or infirmity. So it was more comprehensive type. Next came the ecological concept. This concept is having two perspectives. One is the first one, relative sort of concept. Health is seen in a relative sort. The second is placing a greater emphasis on the interrelationships between environment and individual's quality of life. Now, I move on to, as we are running out of time, I move on to mental health, understanding what is mental health. Mental health has been defined as state of balance between the individual and the surrounding world, a state of harmony between oneself and others, a coexistence between the realities of the self, one, and that of the other people, two, and that of the environment, three. Psychological factors can induce all kinds of illness, not simply mental ones, like your hypertension, peptic ulcer, bronchial asthma. All this can be brought in by psychological factors. Now, psychiatric illnesses like depression, schizophrenia have biological component. So these things can be brought on by the psychological factors. Now, attributes of a mentally healthy person include how we can find that one is a healthy person: free from internal conflicts, is able to get along well with others, accept criticism, and is not easily upset. One who searches for his or her identity, has a strong sense of self-esteem, knows oneself, one's need, one's problems and goals, which is known as self-actualization, has good self-control, balances rationality and emotionality, faces problems and tries to solve them intelligently, that is coping with stress and anxiety. If you have these qualities, you do not have any mental health issues. I move on directly to the mental health in Northeast India. Now, Northeast India comprises of 8, before that I would like to say that I would come to the issues of the global standards and the national standards in the concluding observations, as we are running short of time. So directly into the mental health in Northeast India. Northeast India comprises of 8 states, that is Arunachal Pradesh, Assam, Manipur, Meghalaya, Mizoram, Nagaland, Sikkim I am including, and Tripura. Now, there are geographical features for which this region becomes very important. There are several ethnic groups with different traditions and cultures in this region. Culture is considered a way of life and hence is associated to mental health of people in the region. Factors such as lack of accessibility and availability, multiple disaster-prone areas along with insurgency have mostly had a negative impact on social development of the northeastern region of India. This lack of social development along with geographical features of the region have made loneliness and absence of engagement prevalent among the people of the region. This has led to the use of substances and which have actually put in detrimental effects on the mind of the people there. Addressing the problem over there, there is your district mental health program, along with the Lokapriya Gopinath Bordoli Regional Institute of Mental Health, which are catering service to these kinds of people. The state of Meghalaya on your 29th November 2022 has brought in a program you're addressing the special attention issues faced by children, adolescents, and youth. And apart from this, there are traditional healers in Northeast India who actually cater service in these issues. So there are these three kinds in which way the Northeastern people get service. The concluding observations. Firstly, recognition of the issue of mental health can be inferred from international instruments and bodies such as UDHR, ICCE, SCR, CRPD, African Charter, Arab Charter, Asian Cooperation on Civil Matters, and WHO. We go through the provisions of these international instruments. We find they have been actually addressed over there. Second concluding observation is legal recognition has been given in the constitutional provisions. We can infer it. I'm completing it just in 2 minutes. Through Article 14, 15, 19, 21, 23, 38, 39E, 41, 42, 43, 47. Through these provisions, we can actually address the issues. The judiciary, we have cases they have given, and then we see that okay, I'm coming to directly to my recommendations, sir. The recommendations are, or should I go with my concluding observations? I should go with my concluding observations. Okay. Then I would like to mention one case on your judiciary, given by the judiciary. That case is actually very interesting. This case is your accused X versus State of Maharashtra. The citation is AIR 2019, Supreme Court 3031. In this case, it is held by the Supreme Court that post-conviction mental illness is not enough for the commutation of a convict's death sentence. For such commutation to be applicable, the convict must suffer from mental illness in its severe or extreme form. So what we see, the Apex Court is giving recognition to mental illness of people who are convicted, but that should be of severe form, like that person should suffer from schizophrenia, or obsessive disorders, personality disorders, this kind of thing. One more case is of Gaurav Kumar Bansal versus Mr. Dinesh Kumar, where the court says that mentally ill person, if they have recovered, then for the purpose of their rehabilitation, they should be actually put into halfway homes, and you cannot directly put them under your NGOs. So these are the things that have happened. Apart from that, again, moving to the concluding observations, we can see the fourthly that I'm coming to. The thirdly is under the Northeast District Mental Health Program is there. They are doing their job. The National Mental Health Survey, if we go fourthly, 2015 and 16 by NIMHANS found that 10.6% of adults in India suffer from mental disorders. The lifetime prevalence of mental disorders in India is 13.7%. National studies reveal that 15% of India's adult population experiences mental health issues requiring intervention. Urban areas have a higher prevalence of 13.5%, rural areas 6.9%. We do not have enough number of psychiatrists. The Indian Journal of Psychiatry India is saying that we have 0.75% psychiatrists per 1 lakh people, whereas WHO recommends at least 3 per 1 lakh. Fifthly, the observation is, from the above paragraphs pointed out that the recognition of the issue in legal arena, both at the international, national, and Northeast India level is there, but the empirical data on the issue reveals much more needs to be done legally and policy-wise. At the socio-cultural level, it can be said that awareness is suppressed by factors such as stigma, different kinds of taboo in context to men and women, family economic problems, inappropriate family care, giving less importance to the issue, and shortage of your professionals. Very quickly, the recommendations are that we should follow social and emotional learning into our school curriculum, because that actually gives us addresses the your SDG 3 and SDG 4 of good health and well-being and quality education. This also actually should be brought into the school curriculum, because it gives actually intergenerational equity, because today's children will be tomorrow's parents, social workers, and society mates. Then I would also like to say that there are issues like of your overuse of internet and your social media by the children and poor dietary intake, which should be actually brought in under national health policy to address the issues. Thirdly, this issue of mental health actually should be brought in under all the statutes of rights of children, rights of women, rights of transgender, rights of senior citizens. Because by that way, it will actually become very general in the general masses. People will become more aware. Amendments in the statutes can bring a change in the attitude of the people. Fourthly, law framers and judiciary should open up on lessening the difference between medical insanity and legal insanity. We have dealt with mental health issues under the criminal law, but then the difference is quite vast. So this might actually give a more humanitarian stance while deciding criminal matters involving insanity. Fifthly, I would like to say social development is to be stressed in Northeast India. The stress on social development should be in synchronization with the nature and tribal cultures so that local people remain enmeshed with their traditional culture and also become engaged and do not suffer from loneliness. Government of India should try to create a more robust policy than Lucist policy for socio-economic upliftment of the northeastern states. Thank you so much.
Next speaker will be Juhi Debnath. Her topic is ensuring the right to mental health, legal protections, and global implications.
Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this conference. My name is Juhi Debnath, and I am the student from the BBLLB program. Today, I am honored to discuss a crucial aspect of human rights that is often overlooked: the right to mental health. Mental health is an integral part of our overall well-being and is essential that we recognize and protect this fundamental human right. The right to mental health is enshrined in various international human rights instruments, including the Universal Declaration of Human Rights and the International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights. The right to mental health in international law. The foundation of mental health right in international law is established through various human rights treaties and conventions. Universal Declaration of Human Rights, Article 25 states that everyone has the right to a standard of living adequate for health and well-being, including medical care. While the UDHR does not explicitly mention mental health, its broad interpretation including mental well-being as part of overall health. International Covenant on Economic, Social and Cultural Rights, 1966, Article 12 recognizes the right to the highest attainable standard of physical and mental health. It mandates states to take necessary steps to prevent, treat and control diseases, including mental illness. Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities, 2006, the CRPD provides explicit protection for individuals with mental health conditions, emphasizing autonomy, non-discrimination and access to community-based mental health care. World Health Organization WHO Mental Health Action Plan 2013 to 2030. This plan calls for integrating mental health into universal health coverage, ensuring access to quality services and reducing stigma and discrimination. Comparative analysis of national mental health laws. Different countries have adopted various legal frameworks to address mental health rights with varying degrees of effectiveness. Now I am directly coming to the topic, challenges in implementing mental health rights. Stigma and discrimination, mental health conditions remain highly stigmatized in many societies, leading to social exclusion, discrimination in employment and education, insufficient legal protections. Many countries lack enforceable mental health laws, leading to lack of clear guidelines on mental health care rights, no protection against workplace discrimination, weak enforcement of anti-discrimination laws, inequality in access to mental health services, limited availability of mental health professionals, high cost of mental health treatment, urban-rural disparities in healthcare access, coercive practices and human rights violation. Involuntary hospitalization and forced treatment are common in many countries, often without legal safeguards. Reports of abuse and psychiatric institution highlights the urgent need to reform. Public health consequences. Mental illness contribute to rising suicide rates. Lack of mental health care increases the burden on emergency services and law enforcement. Human rights inadequate mental health care leads to higher rates among individuals with untreated psychiatric conditions. Okay. The right to mental health is a fundamental human right requiring stronger legal protection and global commitment. While international frameworks provide a foundation, national implementation remain inconsistent. Addressing stigma, increasing funding and ensuring legal safeguards are essential for protecting individuals with mental health conditions. By mental health laws, combating discrimination and investing in mental health infrastructure, societies can ensure that mental health is fully recognized as a universal human right. So as we gather here today, I aim to explore the legal protection and global implication of ensuring the right to mental health. I look forward to engaging in meaningful discussion and learning from all of you. Thank you for having me.
Next speaker will be Palak Gupta. Topic will be Aftermath of the Manipur Conflict, a mental health perspective.
Hello, am I audible? Good morning to everyone present here. I am Palak Gupta and my paper is titled Aftermath of the Manipur Conflict, a Mental Health Perspective. I'd like to show the clip that is on the next slide. Aftermath as in the imposition of President's rule and the resignation by the Manipur CM. Replay. Volume.
The lifestyle what the South Indian people are living, we feel jealous. But we also live like them. But we've been left. Not left, we have been kicked out. The trauma that we face, we don't want to repeat also.
I've used this video and audiovisual media so that we can foster a connection and understand what is happening there. I'd like to move on and continue with my introduction. In the introduction, I've talked about how due to geographical seclusion, they have felt excluded. And we all know that we have the mainland India is connected to the northeast area through a chicken's neck, which secludes the entire Northeast and makes them feel secluded, and we also lose that connection as people who are residing in the said mainland area. Throughout the past year, we all have celebrated our festivals, lived in the security and comfort of our places, whereas in one of our states of our own home country, people have been displaced, people have been killed because of some ethno-political conflict. The entire issue does not exist till the ethno-political conflict, but it extends to the dignity, the right and respect of the people who are residing there. I've elaborated and mentioned a report by Ministry of Home Affairs which states that 77% of the total violent incidents reported in northeastern region has occurred in Manipur itself. Moving on, I've discussed how AFSPA, which is a special legislation, has impacted the mental health of the people there. Under Section 6 of the AFSPA, it is said that it prohibits the prosecution of security officials unless the government of India grants a sanction to prosecute, which gives an immunity to this, to the security personals, and it gives an idea of unrestricted power to their end. And we have seen incidents where the rapid active forces have involved in arson, rape, and murder of the people. And there have been incidents where the government employees have been removed from their position. I'll also like to mention that because of this, this invokes a sense of state-sponsored deception in the minds of the people when they see that people who are meant to protect us are going against us, and then they are furthering the torture. They are going against the idea that they were meant to protect the people. And it further, the amount of drone surveillance that has happened has created a perception that the state itself is sponsoring the ethno-political conflict, which again heightens the tensions as Manipur is a landlocked region with 90% of the boundaries being international boundaries, and there have been ethnic affinities between Manipur and Myanmar, which makes it very difficult for India to control the issue and avoid external contribution to it. Moving on, mass displacement and lack of institutional support. 70,000 plus people have been displaced till now, and they have been living in 350 camps. There have been reports that around 100 people, including children, have passed away due to the lack of institutional support in those camps. And there have been incidents where snakes seep into the camps. There is no privacy as multiple villages have been huddled into one area. And this has led to, and they even question themselves that when will we go back? And the state government and the central government has taken initiative to create homes and send the displaced people back to their places, but it has been impossible because of the ongoing conflict. Moving on, the next part is the further human rights infringement. Here I've talked about how gendered violence has taken place in Manipur. We all know about the appalling video that was published online, which brought focus to the Manipur issue, and the parliament has even had discussions on it, but all that happened was them blaming the opposition ruled states and saying that such incidents happen everywhere. We need to understand that rape and sexual violence should not be looked at a perspective of an incident level, because it is not. It is a result of systemized oppression which has taken place and has been used as a form of violence during war. We need to understand that to reform and rehabilitate and reintegrate the victims, we have to include mental health care as part of the general health care schemes. And we have to, okay. I've also talked about internet shutdown and the impact it has had on the people. The various government schemes have been digitized, and it has been very difficult for the people of Manipur to access these schemes, which again hampers the constitutional right to equality. Moving on, there has been severe government inaction and abrupt intervention has been made because of the sudden resignation on apprehension that there is going to be a no confidence motion. And now that Manipur has come under President's rule, its future is still bleak and people are still displaced and going through the ethnic conflict. I have also compared the current legal situation with international humanitarian laws, and there have been violations of international humanitarian laws. There have been incidents which can amount to genocide, but they have not been taken care of. As all of these attacks which have happened against the civilians have been majorly on the basis of their ethnicity. Moving forward, even Amnesty International has asked the government to take action, end the internet shutdown, which was ended after 212 days of complete internet blackout, which has led to students not being able to access their education and continue with it. It has also abrupted proper healthcare system, as I mentioned before, that many people who are underprivileged avail the rights that are given to them by the government-sponsored schemes. While concluding, I'd like to say that mental health is a right that we are born with, and it is not a privilege, and it is the duty of the state to ensure that all of us, despite of our area of residence, should get this right. There's another video that I'd like to show. I added this video because this song is a church song, which means that even in such times, we are supposed to pray to God and feel blessed that we have survived these times. This is to show that these people, despite 21 months of constant conflict and being displaced, having lost their livelihood and everything, are still being so resilient. So as part of the community, of the larger community, we should do something and ask the government to get themselves involved to find a solution, because unless the government gets involved, nothing can be done. There have been multiple discussions on various forums. The media houses have talked about it, but unless the government takes action, nothing can be done. Thank you.
Thank you for throwing light in this area, Palak. Next, I would like to welcome Tongram Romita Devi. Her topic is Comparative Study of Mental Health in Northeast Region, a special focus on Valley area of Manipur as the impact of 3rd May 2023 incident.
Hello, everyone. With your permission, sir, I would like to start presenting my paper. So, we all know that the Northeast India is socio-cultural diversity place, and specifically Manipur is surrounded by Arunachal Pradesh, then Assam and all other states of Northeast India. The research question about my paper is, to what extent does this ethnic crisis impact the mental health of the population? But mainly focusing on the valley area, because I am from the valley area and I could not go at the hill areas now. Then my study has adopted the research methodology like survey methods, interviews, and focus groups, like the persons who has directly impacted with the crisis, as well as those who have not impacted with this. Altogether, I have surveyed that, and through the help of the questionnaires that I sent through the Google form, and with the help of my friends and family members also, and other persons who are residing outside Manipur but were there in Manipur during the time of the incident. I have also asked them to submit the answers through the questionnaires that I have submitted through the Google form. So the study will help to understand the psychological consequences by examining the traumatic stresses and the post-traumatic disorders or the stresses among the different ages of the population. I have already asked the students from the little ages who have suffered from many disorders like post-traumatic disorders, like they have the fear about the incidents that have occurred in front of their eyes. They have experienced the terror, the threat. So that a small age, small infant has attached to that incident. Then, so let's go to the introduction first. So this is Manipur, that is bounded by the state of Nagaland, Myanmar, Mizoram, Mizo Hills, and Assam. Next slide, please. When we say Manipur, we see the Loktak Lake first. I think everyone, those who have visited Manipur, will have seen the Loktak Lake through the airplane flight. Yes or no? I think yes. Yes, sir. Right. Now, next slide, please. The polo that has been started from Manipur, it is original place, and it is the place of Marjing Haingang, where the statue of the polo has been stand there. And the polo game is now playing at Manipur Imphal. If you want to see, then visit us. I invite you all, so please visit us. Okay, now through the introduction, let's go. So, with the onset of the crisis, that is on May 3, 2023, between the mighty masses residing in Imphal Valley and the main tribal party, that is tribal community, that is Kuki-Chin Mizo. It happened with the demand of scheduled tribe status by the Manipuri people. First thing is this. And then after that, on the day of the incident, more than hundreds of people were died. Various ethnic groups, mainly Meitei as well as the Kuki-Chin Mizo group, were injured. Not only the one party, both parties were injured. And in the news also, there has been restriction now, and even now also, if I speak something other than this, I may be caught into jail also. Okay, so on the 3rd May, it was the incident that takes place, and with that incident, many people were displaced from their original places, and they have been helped to rescued by the Indian Army forces and many other military forces. Even the commandos of the Manipur state has helped them to displace them at the safer places. And next slide, please. So with that effect, the previous slide. Okay. With the effect of this incident, many people who has displaced from their original places suffer from traumatic disorders. Mainly, they have suffered from the stress also. And I have pointed that a 36-year-old man displaced in the ongoing ethnic conflict in Manipur was found dead inside a relief camp. It was due to the mental stress that he cannot bear it. And then, in another case also, a 21-year-old woman died by suicide at Mekola relief camp. It is the very recent case. And on this report, the Manipur Commission for Protection of Child Rights, MCPCR, has expressed concern regarding the mental health and well-being of the inmates living at the relief camps. And please, next slide. According to the concept of the mental health given by mental wellness, it refers that the person's psychological, emotional, and societal well-being. It affects how someone thinks, feels, and behaves. According to the situation, according to the place or the environment that they live, it affects to their mental. And next slide, please. According to WHO, World Health Organization, the mental health is a state of mental well-being that enables people to cope with the stresses of life, realize their abilities, and learn well and work well and contribute to the community. It has intrinsic and instrumental value, and it is integral to our well-being. Next slide, please. So right to mental health according to the universal So in 2020 report of the Human Rights Council, the special rapporteur addresses the need for a global agenda for mental health that is human rights based. And then, according to the World Health Organization, mental health is also a basic human right, which includes right to liberty, independence, availability, accessibility, acceptance, inclusion in the community, and good quality of care. Then, in the preamble of the Constitution of WHO, it has been defined that a state of complete physical, mental, social well-being, and not merely the absence of the disease. बस disease से absence होने के बाद ही उसको mentally health है या फिर physically वो healthy है, लेकिन वो mentally fit नहीं भी हो सकते ना, वही concept पर WHO ने ये define किया है. Then, next slide please. According to the right to mental health, as per the Indian concept, it has been integrated with the article number 21 of the Indian Constitution, that even though there is not directly enshrined as the right to mental health is given under that article 21, the article 21 integrates with the right to mental health. Then, next slide please. So mental health go of the Manipur people is that according to the report of the Department of Psychiatry, Regional Institute of Medical Sciences, RIMS, it has been found that 1 in every 8 person has a mental disorder. It is the most problematic thing that 1 in the 8 person of the people has mental disorder. And then it has been found that 19.9%, it is the rate of the mental illness that has been increased by 10.6% from the previous records. Next slide, please. According to the comparative analysis that I have found, among the children, they have the sensitive things and they have the fear. Till now, they have the fear when they hear about the big sounds, like something, टायर का जो पंक्चर होने का साउंड भी होता है ना, तो उन लोग को डर लगता है. And then they hear about the shots, gunshots also, they were crying when they hear about it. Then even पास में कोई अगर झगड़ा भी करता है ना, तो उन लोग को बहुत ही ज़्यादा डर लगने का महसूस होता है कि वो कुछ भी नहीं कर पाते, लेकिन डर लगने की वजह से बच्चे तो रो लेते हैं. So the infant cries most of the time. Then यहाँ पर जो चिल्ड्रन होते हैं, जो रिलीफ कैंप्स में होते हैं, हमने बहुत बार देखा है, वो लोग अपना स्कूल छोड़ के आए थे, तो स्कूल छोड़ के आने के बाद वो दूसरे स्कूल को ज्वाइन करने में थोड़ा तकलीफ़ें महसूस होती है, तो वो लोग स्कूल जाने से टकराते हैं. Then next slide please. Among the young adults, they also face the anxiety, stress, and uncertainty regarding their future because they have displaced from their own original places and they have the depression also. I have my friend who has suffered the depression because of that incident. Next slide, please. So among the adults also, that is the middle-aged person, they have the full responsibility regarding their families and also their loved ones. So the tension of the future that has all combined together, and they are suffering from hypertension, then post-traumatic disorders. Many of them has suffered from heart disease now. Next slide, please.
Will you quickly come to your suggestions?
Yes, ma'am. So in the senior citizens also, they have already faced many of these type of incidents from the like Naga Kuki war. I think some of the sirs have already heard about it. So some of the senior citizens have already experienced that cases also, and they have the fear that it might occur once again in their life now. Okay, now please, next slide. So according to my analysis regarding my study, I have found that mental health is equally important as that of the physical health. Next slide, please. So my finding is that all of the persons, all of the children, so all the, regardless of the ages, they have all known the incident and has suffered from the mental disorder. Next slide, please. And my suggestion is that there is a high need that the Constitution of India also enshrines the matter like the right to mental health directly under the Article 21, and the people will also know about that it is the undeniable right. Next slide, please. So it is also important to spread the awareness and regarding the information of the right to mental health to the people, and if the information is spread through the local languages also, then it is quite beneficial to all of them. Next slide, please. So in conclusion, I would like to say that specifically due to the incident, all the population of the state, regardless of the ages, whether infant or the senior citizen or the middle-aged person, they have already suffered from the stress, trauma, as well as the depression. And there is a high need that all the people of India should support them, even though not physically, but mentally, making friendship with them, and no discrimination. So I would like to thank one and all in the saying that Mahatma Gandhi said that it is health that is real wealth and not pieces of gold and silver. And last one, it is a word of advice from a senior citizen. I would read it out. Living happily together and laughing with joy was the only option to fight the mental issue. It is the last line when I interviewed the senior citizen at the relief camp, he told us. So with his views also, they were laughing, they were living happily, trying to live happily at the relief camp also. Next slide, please. These are some photos that I have clicked with my team and my friends also when I visited the relief camps. Next slide, please. This is the relief camp at the Akampat relief camp, and it was during the 2023. Next. It is myself teaching there the students of the Shyamasakhi relief camp. I myself rendered voluntarily to teach the students out there so that their minds get refreshed with some new things. This is the recent picture that I have clicked in the last year that due to the stress, they were unemployed as well as they were stressed and they know nothing how to get financially help them. So I have seen that something development there, and it has seen there that they have been provided with weaving things. So that they can do with their financial help, as well as I have seen most of the people residing there has already engaged with the works like candle making things, agarbatti making, and also there's some handicrafts things. And with this, I would like to thank you, sir.
Really wonderful presentation. Next, Mayong Tikhak and Dr. Rumi Dhar will be presenting on impact of armed conflict on the mental health of youth, a case study of Arunachal Pradesh.
A very good afternoon to everyone, respected our chairperson and all the presenters and the participants. My name is Mayong Tikhak. And I'm a research scholar of law, Nagaland University, and my co-author, Dr. Rumi Dhar, assistant professor, Nagaland University, who is my supervisor as well. So my topic today is the impact of armed conflict on the mental health of youth, a case study of the Arunachal Pradesh. So first of all, as we all know, Arunachal Pradesh is the easternmost state of India, and it is also known as the land of downlit mountains, and which has a very strategic geopolitical significance as well, and sharing the border with the China, Bhutan, Myanmar, and also internal border shared with the Assam and the Nagaland. So in Arunachal Pradesh, there is a presence of the influence of insurgency since from very beginning, like since 1990. So this problem of insurgency is mostly in the 3 districts of Arunachal Pradesh. That is the Tirap, Changlang, and Longding, these 3 districts. And because of this, to solve this problem, the central government has implemented the Armed Force Special Power Act, same year in the 1990. So after implementation of this AFSPA 1958, there is an increase of chaos. There is an armed conflict between the armed forces and the insurgency. So because of that, the youth have to face the immense psychological distress because of that violence and this lack of security. and the economic instability. So here the main objective of this paper is to analyze the impact of the armed conflict on the mental health of youth in Arunachal Pradesh, and to evaluate the government initiative addressing the mental health concern, and also suggest the inclusive policies and policies for the sustainable peace and the youth development. And I have chosen the methodology of doctrinal study by analyzing the primary and secondary data and focusing on mainly psychological impact, socio-economic consequences, and the policy gap as well. So let us understand the background of armed conflict in Arunachal Pradesh. First of all, after the independence of the India, 1947, there is a demand for the separate country, separate nation by the Nagaland under the banner of the Greater Nagalim. So this Tirap Changal Longding district of Arunachal Pradesh also claimed as the part of Greater Nagalim, not only Arunachal Pradesh, also some part of Assam and some part of the Manipur, and also some part of the Myanmar, which is, that time it was Burma. So because of that, there is an influence of the insurgency out there in Tirap Changal Longding district. And also, Assam militant organization also used the border area of the Arunachal Pradesh to link with the Myanmar. Because in 1968, India has signed an agreement with the Myanmar, which is called the Free Regime Movement of 16 kilometers of long border, which has a free regime movement between the Myanmar people and the Indian people without any visa, without any restrictions. That is the main point where the insurgents group make their base, operational base out there. So that is the main reason. So in order to eradicate all those things, the APSPA 1958 was implemented there, but that APSPA create the more militarizations and violations of human rights, violations of fundamental rights. And I belongs to the Changlang district of Arunachal Pradesh. I born and brought up there. I have seen the chaos. I have seen the gunfire. I have seen, I have faced so many things like the gunshot between the insurgency and the armed forces. In my village as well, we used to run from our home like daytime, nighttime. There was no notice from the armed forces. There was no any kind of like security measures by the armed forces, because this APSPA given the overpowered like immunity also, over immunity to the armed forces. We cannot go for the ordinary criminal court of law against the armed forces. These are the things. So because of all this chaos, there is a psychological impact on the youth, mainly the mental health disorder like PTSD, depression, anxiety, hypervigilance, and mostly I have seen the youth people, they are normalized with the violence, like they are indulging with the violence. And again, there's a limited healthcare support. Like in Tirap Changal Longding district, there is a negligible of mental health services, nothing. And social stigma, there is also fear of like seeking psychological help because of the social stigma and all. And there's a socio-economic consequences of the conflict. There are also the educational disruptions like school closure, high school dropout students. And you can imagine, I can take my own example. I am the first person who have done the LLM in my entire society, and I'm the first person who is doing PhD in my entire society. You can now figure out the development of education there. And also, unemployment is a big issue there. The lack of the job opportunities, people are more inclining toward joining the insurgency. And most of the time, the insurgent group, my own brother, sister are there. So these are because of the lack of awareness and all. So the existing mental health infrastructure in the particular these three regions of the Arunachal Pradesh, there's an inadequate mental health infrastructure. Like shortage of the professionals, and also people are mostly reliant on the faith healer. And there's there's a district mental health program there, but very poor implementation due to the lack of the resources. And the geographical barrier is also there, like limited road connectivity, which is restricting to access the care. And if we talk about the overall government initiative and policies that given by the state government, Arunachal Pradesh, there's a National Mental Health Service program is also there, skill development program is there, Telemanas, which is telephonic mental health services is there, and the rehabilitation program is also there, but not in these three districts of Arunachal Pradesh. If you see the list, these three districts is the least bottom of the list at any like overall development. So these are the problem. The main challenge is the logistic barrier. Their location is very remote, and there's no internet connectivity. So just forget about the internet connectivity. There's no electricity. In my own village, there's no electricity. We use the solar light still. So also the financial constraint is also there, and community resistance like cultural stigma, and also the lack of awareness campaign by the NGOs, youth, by the like state government as well. So in the recommendation, I would say, first of all, we need to have, or the state government, the central government should have, make a very peace talk with the insurgent group, whatever their ideology, whatever their demands, because it is mostly a political issue. It is not a military issue that trying to solve by the military power. So it needs to talk, there should be a political talk. And also there should be strengthening the mental health infrastructure, and community-based intervention should be there, and educational reform by placing the mental health education in schools, and also policy advocacy should be there by increasing the fund allocations, and NGO collaboration with international organizations like WHO, UNICEF, and rehabilitation centers should be provided freely to every corner of the district. And also technology-driven solutions should be there by expanding the tele-mental health services. So with this, I would say now this is the very high time to work on the problem of insurgency and work on the problem of the mental health issues, in particular these 3 regions. So these are my conclusion. So this is the references I have referred. So with this, I'd like to conclude myself. Thank you so much.
I would like to request the next speakers, Madhurima Dolui and Divyangana Das. Now here I would like to request, please to cut short your presentation because we are moving towards lunch. So please limit yourself within 3 minutes, okay?
Hello. Good afternoon, esteemed dignitaries, my respected teachers, and also to my fellow participants. Today, I stand before you to discuss about a topic that is shaping the future of our society, the impact of social media on adolescent mental health and on their criminal behavior. The mind of an adolescent is a battlefield of emotions shaped by experiences, trauma, and this inner turmoil can manifest in ways that society labels as delinquency and not a cry for help. Today, technology and internet are transforming how we communicate, learn, and interact. Social media, while offering benefits, also poses risks to adolescent mental health and behavior. It has been seen by the Global Digital Report that over 5 billion people use social media with 96.9% engagement of teenagers. Moving to the research questions, the main objective of this research is to find out that to what extent the social media is influencing the adolescent mental health and also their criminal behavior, and also to find out the legal frameworks addressing this issue. Now, moving on to the next topic is influence of, previous one. Influence of social media on mental health. Constant exposure of curated content can lead to feelings of inadequacy and social comparison. The pursuit of validation through likes, comments, and follows count can make teens feel inadequate and affect their self-worth, thus resulting in teen depression, anxiety, and also suicidal thoughts. It has been found out that by the National Institute of Health in USA that in the last 2 years, it is seen around 62% of teenagers attempted suicide due to the influence of social media. Also, it has been found out that increased rates of drug addiction, around 32% of teens fall into drug or alcohol intoxication due to the negative consequences of social media. Moving on to the adolescent criminal behavior, increased social media use has led a rise in criminal behaviors such as cyberbullying, sextortion, and online harassment. The National Institute of Health, USA states that adolescents exposed to radicalization and terrorism are more than 60%. It has also been found that they are more into terrorism and radicalization because of social media and also interacting through social platforms and technologies through groups like Al-Qaeda and Taliban. The next part of the presentation will be taken up by my co-author.
Speaker, I would like to request you to conclude with the recommendation because the dark side of social media has already been discussed.
Yes, ma'am.
So what suggestions you have put in your presentation, please share it.
Coming down to the suggestions, we have decided on concluding with 5 major suggestions. Like we know all the legal, the law that governs all the cyber crimes are Information Technology Act, but there is no clear distinction between the crimes committed by an adult and the crimes committed by a juvenile. The Juvenile Justice, the JJ Act, they mention that the adolescents ranging from age group of 16 years to 18 years can be brought into the category of adult criminals if the nature of the crime is much heinous. But these factors have not been included through any sort of amendments, or any new legislations have not been brought into effect. So therefore, the digital ethics, digital learning and amendments are the latest necessities in this regard. Thank you.
Speaker Shanghita Mukherjee will be speaking on international perspective on the promotion and protection of the right to mental health of incarcerated women.
A very good afternoon to all. Since we are running out of time, I'll quickly discuss my research questions. The first question is, what are the international and regional standards on protection and promotion of right to mental health of incarcerated women? And the second question is, what are the barriers to promotion and protection of right to mental health of women prisoners? Now, my article will strictly focus on cisgender females, that is those women who have been assigned the female gender at birth and they identify themselves as women. Secondly, mental health, to define it in short, is a state of mental well-being where we can fully utilize and realize our potentials, and also we can work towards our development and the development of the community as a whole. And incarcerated is a situation where a person is put in prison or in a place which is used as a prison. Now, the concept of women imprisonment is not unknown at all. In fact, studies have significantly and repeatedly stated that women in prison have a tendency of getting mental health conditions to an extent of 70% or even higher. And in this regard, the World Health Organization has observed that the health needs of women has 4 aspects: mental health problems, suicidal behavior, substance use problems, and reproductive health problems. Now, women in prison do not get access to mental health care facilities as is available in the community, and health-related intervention by professionals in the form of therapy or counseling is extremely important for the successful reintegration of women after the service of sentence is over. Furthermore, the prison setup where women are incarcerated is mainly designed for men, and women have some very different needs and vulnerabilities which are not adequately addressed in the prison setup which is designed for men. In fact, the Kiev Declaration on the Health of Women Prisoners has stated that if even a small duration of stay in the prison for a woman makes her life miserable and abruptly affects her mental health and cannot even prevent her from recidivism or being involved into a crime again and a part of the criminal justice system.
So, madam, what your suggestions would be?
Should I also highlight the barriers? Okay, directly the
Quickly
suggestion.
come to the solution.
Okay, fine. My suggestions in this regard would be that alternatives to detention for women with mental health conditions must be taken into consideration by the judiciary, by the legislators, and by the state as well. Secondly, a comprehensive right-based approach should be established for women with mental health care needs. Mental health risk and needs of women in prison must be regularly assessed, and they must also be provided with gender gender responsive and trauma informed mental health support. The programs must be designed in such manner so that their vulnerabilities can be taken into consideration, their problems can be assessed, and the prison authorities must be trained in such a manner that they empathetically deal with the women prisoners. And in this regard, one thing I must mention is countries like Argentina, Cyprus, Mauritius, France, and Slovenia have been serving as a model for other countries in developing specialized mental health programs, particularly for women prisoners, where they involve and include counseling, support mechanism, and mental health first aid training for the prison staff, which is extremely essential for protecting and promoting the rights of female prisoners and their right to mental health. So with this, I conclude. Thank you.
Next speaker, Diti Priya Hajra, Constitutional Perspective of Right to Mental Health. Please cut it short. Limit yourself within 3 minutes, okay?
A very good morning to the dignitaries, esteemed faculty members, and dear students. The title of my topic is Constitutional Perspective of Right to Mental Health. Now, mental health is an essential aspect of overall well-being and increasingly recognized as fundamental human right. In India, Constitution links with right to mental health with provisions that promote dignity, equality, and access to health care. Article 21 guarantees right to life, including right to mental well-being. Additionally, the DPSP emphasizes the government's responsibility to improve the public health, including mental health services. Now, Government of India's Mental Health Care Act 2017 marked a significant step towards prioritizing mental health and by safeguarding those rights of individuals with mental health. Despite these legal advancements, challenges like social stigma, limited resources, and lack of awareness continue to impede the progress. My presentation will explore the constitutional provisions related to mental health, analyze the judicial interpretation that have expanded these rights, and discuss the need for a stronger policy implementation and increased public investment in mental health services. The research objectives are to examine the judicial interpretation related to mental health in India, what are the constitutional values of mental health in India, and how it is connected with the fundamental rights, and also to address the systematic challenges and propose the strategies which can strengthen the mental health policies in India. Now, the significance of mental health as a human right. Mental health is a fundamental human right, ensuring that everyone should have the access to quality care, the ability to make informed health decisions, and the opportunity to live fully integrated into the communities. However, individuals with mental health conditions often face discrimination, forced treatment, and limited access to essential health care. Additionally, violence of human rights like trauma and violence can severely impact the mental health, leading to conditions like depression, PTSD, anxiety, which can disrupt a person's sense of security. Now, to protect the rights of these mental health conditions, it is vital to align the laws and policies with the international human rights standards. This includes shift towards the community-based care, improving the service qualities, empowering individuals and families, and raising awareness. Now, the adoption of rights of persons with disabilities in 2006 ensures that individuals with mental illness have the same rights as others, including protection from discrimination. It also addresses the social barriers, addressing stigma, and empowering individuals to make their own healthcare decision. Also, the adoption of the Office of United Nations High Commissioner of Human Rights highlighted the individuals with mental health conditions often face marginalization, especially those living in poverty, due to the discriminatory laws and policies. Now, judicial interpretation and public interest litigation. In the 1980s,
Quickly discuss the case study and come to the conclusion.
I provided different case laws which enhance the rights related to mental health, like the Rakesh Chandra Narayan versus State of Bihar, which discuss about the appealing condition and order to undergo extensive renovations, like Upendra Bakshi versus State of Uttar Pradesh, which focused on the human treatment in state-run facilities and the institutionalization of institutionalized individual extended to mental health institutions as well. In B.R. Kapoor versus Union of India, the ruling underlying the necessity to model the institution after the National Institute of Mental Health and Neuroscience. In the case of Mrs. Veena Sethi versus State of Bihar and other.
Conclude. Just conclude this paper.
Correlation between constitutional rights and Right to Mental Health Act 2017. Now, Chapter 5 of the Mental Health Care Act 2017 discusses of right of individuals, which directly based on the values of constitutional right to ensuring that they should be treated with respect, dignity, and equality. This chapter has the key constitutional values, particularly enshrined with Article 14, 19, 21. Like right to access mental health care, section 18, directly related with Article 21, right to life, which highlights the right to health as an integral part of right to life. And also there will be no discrimination, which also align with Article 14 and 15. Now, Section 19 of Mental Health Care Act, right to live in a community rooted with the principle of autonomy, which is aligned with Article 21. By prioritizing a community-based care, it upholds Article 14, which forbids discrimination against individuals who may otherwise be marginalized and excluded. Now, Section 20, protection from cruel, inhuman and degrading treatment, it affirms the constitutional protection against inhuman treatment, reinforcing the dignity of every individual regardless of their mental status. Section 23 and 24, right to confidentiality, ensures that...
Please conclude. Don't need to go through the provisions in detail.
Challenges I don't need to mention. There are some suggestions for improvement of mental health facilities, alignment with constitutional values, like implementation of legal frameworks effectively, like the Mental Health Care Act 2017 should be implemented with the align of right to life and the duty to improve the public health. State government should adopt policies ensuring the universal access of mental health care, which should have the strong monitoring and accountability mechanism. Now, increase the public investment. The government should significantly increase funding for mental health services, particularly for the underserved areas, and expand the community-based care, upgrading the hospital infrastructure, which aligns with Article 47. The government can scale up the training and recruitment of psychologists, psychiatrists, and social workers, especially for the marginalized regions, which aligns with Article 41. To eliminate stigma and encourage early intervention, the government should lead nationwide awareness initiative and also promote acceptance in school and healthcare facilities and workplace communities. With alignment with Article 47, establish community mental health centers, training general hospital providers, and deploying mental health professionals at district level. And the government should ensure equal access to education, employment, and social participation, with aligned with Article 41, which further supports the need for public assistance program to empower individuals with mental health challenges, and empower the Panchayati Raj and local governance as per Article 243W. It integrates mental health into local healthcare initiative as outlined there, and decentralized governance can ensure the mental health services are tailored with regional needs. At the end, we can say that embedding mental health policies with constitutional framework can establish a right-based, inclusive, and accessible mental health care, ensuring the dignity, respect, and equality for all.
Next will be Salma Yasmin. No? Shomodeepa Shom. Her paper will be on bridging the gap, ensuring equitable access to mental health services.
Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shomodeepa Shom, first year BLLB student of Sister Nivedita University. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my research paper on this conference. I am presenting my research paper about the topic Bridging the Gap, Ensuring Equitable Access to Mental Health Services. This paper focuses on the topic mental health care, policies, crises, and future directions in mental health care in India. Let us start. If we go back in COVID situation, there were 970 million people globally who were suffering from any kind of mental health disorder. COVID-19 triggers 25% increase in prevalence of anxiety and depression. For developed countries, it was easy to cope up with these factors, but for developing countries like Latin American, African, or Asian countries, it was not easy to cope up with these increasing mental health problems. As an Indian, it is very sad to say that there isn't any sufficient data for mental health of us. Mental health care system in India. Mental health is one of the most neglected area in India's health system. In our country, the Mental Health Care Act 2017 was passed on 7th April 2017. It came into force from 29th May 2018. Also, the government of India established institutions like NIMHANS. But are these initiatives enough to fix mental health problems in India? Because there are only 43 government-run hospitals, mental hospitals in India for 142.86 crore people. Challenges along the way to implement mental health care in India. Unlike other non-communicable diseases, mental health issues are highly stigmatized and also not widely discussed within communities, which hinders their normalization and care seeking. Also, these are affordable resources for mental health care are also very less. The provision of mental health care in India has predominantly been specialist driven. As of data, India has only 0.7 mental health professionals for every 1 lakh person. Let us dive into the case study regarding domestic violence. A woman of 30 years of age suffered from domestic violence. Her in-laws tortured her and also made her feel like she brought bad luck for their family. This type of mental torture caused schizophrenia in her. The lady seeks treatment, but her husband denied to give her. 2/3 of married women in India were victims of domestic violence. Those domestic violences create mental health disorders. In these type of cases, half of them just commit suicide, or their in-laws kill them, or they divorces. And most of the domestic violence cases
Shomodeepa,
happened.
What findings you have?
Okay, ma'am. My findings are that what initiatives we should take for community-based mental health interventions. For mental health care betterment in India, community-based mental health interventions are best for us, like psychoeducation, adherence management, psychological rehabilitation, support for livelihood, and referral are important. Integration of mental health into primary health care, awareness campaigns, advocacy efforts would be beneficial. Increasing the number of mental health professionals, increasing mental health care centers, expanding telehealth services like apps for mental health care, and policy and insurance reforms. Mental health care in India remains an important but often neglected part of public health. There is a need for collective effort from the government, healthcare providers, educational institutions, and society as a whole to bridge the gap in mental health care. Prioritizing mental health, ensuring financial accessibility, and fostering a culture where it is not embarrassing to seek help can take India another step toward better mental health outcomes for all its citizens.
Okay, thank you.
you.
Shrestha Jhingan, Gaurav Dhar, and Indesha Khatun will be presenting on borders, drugs, and Aspire, the impact of substance abuse on Northeast India's youth. Quickly come to your research question and your findings.
A very good morning to all present Today I am Gaurav and Shish Intesha. We have gathered here to discuss a very important issue, border, drugs, despair, the impact of substance abuse on North India's youth. Today I would like to start off my presentation by narrating the story of an 18-year-old girl, Liema, who was once a promising weaver, her nimble fingers creating intricate designs on the loom. Now her hands tremble, not with creativity, but with withdrawal. Now I will talk about the slides that were presented for this topic. Slide 1. Slide 1 talks about the Golden Triangle. India's proximity to the Golden Triangle, a region comprising parts of Laos, Myanmar and Thailand, which is one of the world's biggest area producing opium, and has significantly impacted the region due to high volume of drugs passing through the area. Next slide. The surge in drug abuse in North India is primarily due to its proximity to the Golden Triangle, which we have discussed earlier, which increases the rate of HIV or AIDS, although the increase has been controlled by the government by putting in effort, but that's not enough to stop child trafficking. Next slide. What kind of effect does drugs puts on the society? A shift in focus has been noticed in the youth, which has led to unemployment and finally poverty. There is also regional instability and influence from the peers for drugs. Substance abuse can cause or worsen mental health issues, potentially leading to a cycle of addiction and mental illness. It can also trigger symptoms of depression and anxiety. Next, what are the barriers to treatment of drug abuse? There are lots of barriers which contains conflict and underdevelopment in the northeastern India. There is also bad topography and low accessibility, which makes it difficult for the treatment. Next slide. The government also tries to mitigate the substance abuse by introducing laws and regulations like the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act of 1985, which is popularly known as the NDPS Act. The National Action Plan for Drug Demand Reduction, NAPDDR, and the Nasha Mukt Bharat Abhiyan, which was launched in the year 2020. The case studies include the Manipur's Churachan district, where a lot of drugs has been used and it is known as the hub of drugs in Manipur. And the next is Thum Morok, which is a cheap and local drug which has replaced the number 4 heroin, which has led to the increase in drug use as it is very cheap to use. Next slide. The solutions from our side are engage the youth in fruitful activities and installing proper rehab centers for the below poverty line people who cannot afford proper rehabilitation. And also there is also a need of strengthening the border security more and more. Next slide. We would like to conclude our presentation by saying a quote of Edward Lecoq. No one can whistle in symphony. It takes an orchestra to play it. Just like that, there is a need of sustained and coordinated efforts from the government, society, and international partners to safeguard the health, security, and the future of Northeast India. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, sir.
The last speaker will be Utshav Ganguly, and he will be discussing on role of AI in the evolving landscape of criminal forensic investigations with special reference to mental health evidence.
Good afternoon to everybody. Good afternoon, ma'am. Good afternoon, sir. My presentation is on role of AI in the evolving forensic criminal investigation. We will be talking more of the mental evidences. For the next slide, please. Next slide, yeah. The mental health evidence refers to the psychological and psychiatric assessments. Like any criminal having a mental disorder, which will be like the, please, next. Some evaluations are done on basis of this, like psychiatric evaluations, clinical psychological reports, neuroimaging evidence, behavioral and risk assessments, expert testimony. These are based on the mental state of the criminals. And on based of this, the evidences are used in forensic investigations of the criminal investigations in our forensic investigations. Next, please. These are the common common mental health evidence, health conditions, which we see in most of the criminals. If we see in northeastern parts, it's much more of the last substance use and
Sir,
disorder.
what your findings are?
My findings is it's basically about how we can incorporate AI in forensic investigation so that much more we can understand about the criminal behavior. Like many a times the criminals try to incorporate in a way so that they can hide their emotions, their disorders and everything from the psychiatric that's evaluating them. But the AI works on sensors and calculations. They can get the hold of it and they can give us some much more accurate outcomes which a person cannot take out. So AI can be much more help in getting the criminal evidence in this way. Thank you.
So with this technical session ends. Now I would like to request the chair with giving a brief report about the papers and his observation on this particular topic.
Thank you, Aruna. Actually, I think, even all the paper presenters are left. So there is nothing to say. Only one thing I want to mention from this particular topic, that by putting the word right before mental health, we made a very medical terminology or the medical topic within the domain of legal topic. Now, there is nothing to reiterate, be it the international mechanism, any human rights documents, constitution, statutes, everywhere this right has been protected. Now, the topic, if we look into from the perspective of the Northeast India, I found 2-3 papers. They took the aspect of the Northeast region of India, more specifically the military, the military power, that is the more specifically the AFSA, Armed Forces Special Power Act, okay, and the fight which is going on between the tribal group. And because of the use of arms and ammunitions, how the people, they are suffering from mental anxiety. So these are quite a relevant paper, from the perspectives of the conference theme. Otherwise, right to mental health, actually, it comes within the broader purview of right to health, and this protection, obviously, we can seek from the state itself by virtue of maybe parents partia concept, that is state is the big parents of all of us. But we must also keep it in mind that we are living in the era of globalization, we are living in the era of consumerism. Even this time the budget for health, it has been reduced. Even the parliamentary committee suggested for 2.5% of the annual budget for the health sector, but it is not even 2%. So when the health, it is to be purchased and it becomes a commodity, I don't know how much beneficial the discussion is within this AC classroom about right to health. But obviously, right to health in the northeastern region, because of its geographical location, is a problematic issue. With these words, I want to congratulate all the paper presenters. They have tried their best. They came with new points, new things, which should be deliberated upon quite extensively. With these few words, I want to thank to all.
So we will proceed for the lunch. Thank you all for joining.